I still can't hear. Can you hear me? Mm. Oh, I wish I could hear you guys, but I can see that you can hear me. This is a little strange. You want me to go ahead and do the plug? I got to do the lip reading.
Sister April, can you hear us?
I I think I'm getting something with the
Can you hear?
AirPod.
Okay,
Okay. All
okay.
right. Earpods to save the day now.
Can you hear us
It's
now?
it's no, it's a Mickey Mouse signal. It's like,
I
oh.
don't know. Maybe we could turn her up a little bit. What
Now
is
I
this
can
one here?
hear you, but you literally sound like Mickey Mouse right now. Seriously.
Really?
It's so cute. But I can hear you. I can hear it, but it's coming across like that. So we can try it like this.
Okay. Okay. Not a problem. Would you mind sharing with everybody, all the viewers, the cake and sip, what's going on, where it is, and how they can register?
Yes, ma'am. So the cake and sip is this weekend, this Saturday in Birmingham, Alabama, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. and that is Central Time. We are going to be at McAlpine Park and Recreational Center, and we just left trying to get everything set up. This is our holiday edition. So this is really the last one for this year, but we plan to have so much fun. We're excited about the new non-alcoholic wines that's going to be presented by you all, and everybody's just waiting and getting their money together to get their holiday wines together. We also have the themes of Kwanzaa. So I got the Kwanzaa spread out, the Kanara and everything, kind of educate everybody about Kwanzaa, because a lot of people don't know about Kwanzaa. Show you how the Kwanzaa setup go. And then you can choose to decorate your cake as a Kwanzaa theme or Christmas theme. We are gonna have some snacks. I had to run and get some snacks today to pair with our wines. We got a full day on tomorrow. We got a lot going on, and we are excited to have this be our second event for the year. But 2022, I promise you, we doing all kinds of stuff with the cake and sip. Now I can't hear it all.
Can you hear me now? Oh, now I'm getting a little reverb.
Okay.
How about now? They can hear me now?
I can hear you, but it is giving me that reverb. So
how about now? Oh, still getting that reverb.
I can. So we're gonna try to work our way through this, but let's get to the guest of the hour, so to speak. So but before we do that, we have to do our introduction. So you want to run the promo system?
Okay, so can everybody hear? I'm sorry. I hate to do this on live. Can I guess hear us? Internet. Can you hear us? Yep. Okay, good. All right, here we go, y'all. BBI Talks. You know what it is. Let's go.
We gotta bring businesses back. My business is black. My business is black as the universe. I know why they mad. They gotta react. Cause we're universal influencers. I can supply you the man. Get what I need out the land. The earth is the kingdom of God. Glad that I know where I am. We gotta bring businesses back. My business is black. My business is black as the universe. I know why they mad. They gotta react. Cause we're universal influencers. I can supply you the man. I can supply you the man. Get what I need out the land. Glad that I know where I am.
Okay. Oh.
Sorry about that. Check. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, family.
BBI Talks?
BBI Talks. Okay. Sorry about that, family. We just working through some technical difficulties. So again, today's show is Culture Vultures. Is it fact or fiction? You know, the first time I heard this phrase being used, I think, was back when Dame Dash did his now famous interview with the Breakfast Club. Conversation that you and I were having, and where we were watching. So this is how this whole conversation got started. Let's just bring it up to how this whole idea originated. My wife and I, we watched the show Power on Stars, as I'm sure many of you all do, and I just couldn't help but notice how the walking infomercial for all these high-end fashion brands you're talking about, Christian Dior, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Givenchy, Versace. And I was just like, man, it was just kind of overwhelming me, to be quite honest. And so I started to talk to Professor Lotus, and I was like, well, why is it that our brands aren't what the term has become, to explain why we gravitate toward these brands? Why don't we see our brands? Why aren't they aspirational? That's the term that I heard advanced several years ago. I don't remember where, and then I started to think about our brother who recently passed away, Brother Virgil Abloh, who a couple of years ago, I think was made the creative director for Louis Vuitton. And I became aware of Virgil because of his relationship and affiliation with Brother Kanye West, now Brother Ye. And it started me thinking about how we, in our creative genius, not only do we pour into industries such as music, professional sports, but when I started looking at this fashion piece, I was like, are we just fascinated and enamored by seeing us represented in these spaces? And do we benefit from that? Does that, is there like some gain that we receive from being a part of these fashion houses? So, but I thought about, let's bring it to our audience.
Right.
And the first person who came to mind was our guest today, my brother and friend, Brother Ibrahim Bolivar. Let me bring him up to the microphone. Brother Ibrahim, how are you, sir?
Greetings, greetings. What's going on, brothers, family? Peace, peace.
Peace to you, man.
I'm hearing some reverb, but I hope we can work that out.
To have you on. You know, you ever had these friends where you be like, man, I want you to meet this person, this friend of mine. He's brilliant, she's brilliant. You don't want to introduce the person that that'll rob you or nothing like that, but you want somebody that's can actually you want to show off. I don't know. That's how I am. When I meet a friend, I have a friend and I think that they're phenomenal, whatever it is they do. I can't wait to introduce them to somebody because I want the world to know, man, I'm surrounded by dope people. Fix that deal in my life. We've known each other for 10 years. We've actually been business partners in a venture locally. And even before I met him, he had his own clothing company where he was manufacturing suits. And I'm laying quality suits.
Beautiful.
Cufflinks, like real cufflinks. Some things was like heavy, like, okay, these are real cufflinks. This ain't no, you know what I mean? I was impressed. And just to see one of my peers doing things at such a high level. And so since meeting him, we've had a lot of conversations. And so it's like my attempt to want to introduce and bring you all in on the conversation that I've had with my friends. So again, Brother Ibrahim, a little bit of background about him professionally. He is the co-founder and owner of a company called WBC Studios. Let me tell you about WBC Studios. Give me 1 second because I want to get it. I was looking at the website and I think the mission, I think it fits perfectly. So WBC Studios is a bespoke brand development studio. Okay. And they have as a quote on their webpage, a daring approach to the creative process. And let me share with you some of their mission. It says, we aim to be the preeminent leader in design. The word design means to conceive and plan out in the mind. Improperly used over time, its meaning was reduced to alluding to aesthetics. Today, aesthetics alone cannot solve the issues facing businesses. It is about constructive imagination. We cultivate the latent potential in emerging and established brands with an innovative approach and desire to contribute to a better world. For us, WBC Studios, design is a way of thinking. Purist, perhaps. More importantly, it is design thinking that fuels product development, one's unique selling proposition, and overall brand strategy. So this brother here is, I think, an embodiment of that statement. So again, Brother Ibrahim, welcome to BBI Talks.
Welcome.
Thank you, family. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I love the animated introduction, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So tell us about yourself, Brother Ibrahim. Give us a little bit of background, a well-traveled man like yourself, try to keep it condensed. So
it is definitely one of the hardest things to talk about yourself. So you said my background. It's very hard for me to label myself, but if I was to get to the essence of who I am, I would say I'm a serial entrepreneur. And at first I wasn't drawn to that title because for me it was some negative connotation to it, because as entrepreneurs we always fear that we're doing too many things. You know what I mean? So I felt offended when I kept hearing people tell me, you are a serial entrepreneur. So, I'm originally from New York, born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens. I hail from South Jamaica, Queens. Anybody that really knows me knows that Queens get the money. And that's my hometown, and I made my bones there. I have a heavy background in design, in fashion design, and I have a graduate degree in planning and economic development. I work a lot of the entrepreneurs, a lot of the businesses that I started or partnered with, they vary, and I love the challenges of that. And that's when I knew that being an entrepreneur was for me, because when I met our dear brother, You know, we started an agricultural business.
Right.
We created a mobile farmers market, and I had no experience in farming whatsoever. But it was a wonderful experience. And from there, I understood the power of strategy, branding, visual identity, and aesthetics, and how that increases the equity of a company, it increases the cachet of your message, and allows you to make things simple for people to digest. So when we say at WBC Studios that design thinking is real quick, is based on a human-centric approach, and is based on the user experience. To sum it up, right? It's based on how any touch point that someone comes in contact with my organization or anybody or any organization, product, services, how is that experience? What are you walking away feeling? And what is the digestibility of that message and brand story? And that's when I started to realize that though I love clothing and apparel, I love designing, and I've been doing that for a while. It's only like really 2% of what I do or who I am, and design thinking and creating a creative consulting agency allowed me to grow out of that linear design thinking when it came to fashion, and to incorporate that into products and services and unique selling proposition. And that's what I'm currently doing now, if that makes sense. But it's open to questions, you know. I think I lost you, brother.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There you go. There you
Sorry
go.
about that. You said something that I think touches on a conversation that Professor Lotus and I were having before going live, and that is, you talk about the experience, right? And this goes back to when I use the term aspirational. Actually, that term aspirational, as it relates to fashion and the brands that we gravitate to, I think I adopted that watching. You've seen the documentary Fresh Dress or Freshly Dressed, and so I think it was one of the ones people being interviewed, and they talked about these brands being aspirational. Can you discuss from your experience and even growing up in New York? And I think that's perfect. Your experience growing up in New York, how is it that certain brands, what is it that makes them aspirational? Is it about the aesthetics, or is it a certain sense of social currency that comes when we associate ourselves with these particular brands? Is that what it for us that makes us gravitate toward these brands?
Yeah, I mean, it does. Aspirational, anything can be aspirational. Jay-Z is aspirational rap, right? If you look at it, it's about wanting more and wanting better, and those brands or those touch points that you interact with, product, services, or anything that has a unique proposition, it's offering you hope and insight into a world that you want to become a part of. See what I'm saying? So you aspire to, you know, when I die, bury me inside the Gucci store. You know, you aspire and to have that luxury. I want it. I want it because, you know, for Black people, we grow up without it. So we can go deeper into that, but that's just from that point, and then I can tell you what makes something what makes something luxurious. Luxury is really just defined as comfort. And when you look at the traditional houses like Gucci and Louis Vuitton and, you know, Versace, and some of the older houses out there, you know, fabric makers like Zegna and Brioni, suit makers, what makes them luxury in fashion sense is the craftsmanship, the historical existence of the house, how long they've been around. Like Burberry, you know, Burberry came out with the trench. It's really like their, you know, their hero brand, and that kind of historical cachet builds up over time, where people want it. They want to wear it, and they want to be a part of something that's successful, that represents success, that is considered luxurious. So that's where that comes from, a playing field, an even playing field now. Now we can go into white, black if you want to, but from that perspective and that dynamic, when you create a product, what creates the value of it is how long does it take to make, the process that is involved to make, and the historical content, So you look at a doctor, right? And you use that example, why a doctor is worth more monetarily over a janitor is because what it takes to produce one doctor and what it takes to produce a janitor, the market value is a lot less than what it takes to produce a janitor. As a human being, it's the same, have the same potential, but the process it takes to make a doctor it's more difficult. So the value of that doctor increases, and it's like for every 100 people, right? For every 100 people, you meet a doctor. Maybe for every 20 people, you may meet a janitor, you know what I mean? Or an Uber driver, you see what I'm saying? Because it's not to being disrespectful about the occupation, what someone is enduring on. It's about the difficulty of producing that person. Do you follow what I'm saying? And that's what creates the value. Is just like what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, brother, you are more valuable to me than, I believe it was 2 truckloads of gold. And, I'm sure the scientists out there would correct me, and I started to study what made him so valuable was because the process that it will take to produce another Farrakhan, right? How long will we have to wait? I'm talking about not post Farrakhan, pre-Farrakhan, right? To build that one up. They say, it comes every 1,000 years. One like that comes. You see what I'm saying? So those circumstances and the material that was used to create that person are also a unique set of circumstances, and then it creates the value. So it's no different than Louis Vuitton and their hardware and, their patterns and their tailors and or Brioni and the suit making and how they roll the fabric and how they shear the seep and the Pima cotton and the way the chest cavity of the suit plate is built and how it absorbs. That level of detail will create monetary value or value in general. You know what I mean? So when someone knows this, they're paying $3,500, $5,000, $25,000 for a suit. It has those systems in place that was able to produce a unique selling proposition.
That, to be honest with you, that part that you described, like I didn't even understand that until recently, like within the past 20 years, that somebody explained to me how the quality of the craftsmanship, some of these brands, goes into the cost of it. Growing up, it was just about wanting to share in what was deemed to be worth something, so to speak, and that goes back to that social capital piece. But I appreciate that perspective that you offer, because I think that gets a little bit into one aspect of the psychology behind why we choose to engage these different brands. Now, in terms of kind of a pivot to the culture vulture conversation, what came to my mind is how, I was thinking about Timberland earlier, and how Timberland, they overtly stated that they had no intent, I believe, to do any marketing effort to blacks, when in the 90s it was all about the Timbos. And it was this I don't know if I would call it a parasitic relationship, but we don't want to quote unquote invest in you, but we are very happy to accept all the money that you're willing to give us. And so when we have these black faces representing these brands, and this kind of what spurred the conversation, is like, I'm happy to see a Virgil Abloh. ascend to the position that he had with Louis Vuitton. I'm happy to see all of our creative genius who are in these spaces. But the question came to mind, is this a reciprocal relationship in terms of, obviously these companies, they get the benefit of us putting our money into these brands because we see these personalities behind it. But what do we get from the exchange? Having a Virgil Abloh or whomever else, and you know these names more better than I do, is there at least a sharing of expertise that comes back to our community because they go in and have access to, and we're going to get into the supply chain more conversation on the other side of our break, because I think that's important. Your perspective on that is very important. But from your experience, have we been able to leverage as a community the experience that these brothers and sisters have gained by having access to these big fashion houses?
I mean, the short answer is no, absolutely not. It's all sizzle, no steak, in my opinion. Because what Virgil's an individual, so you can never. It's not apples to apples. People don't understand that Louis Vuitton is a publicly traded corporation. It's a group. It's a luxury group that owns multiple brands. So when you're looking at the individual struggle of one person coming up and receiving that, to me, I mean, it's I'm a designer. I'm a Black designer. So that it doesn't yield anything. It's all constant symbolism, no substance. Because what we're missing is, and this is what Kanye, what Ye was so aggressive about during, that time with the Sway interview, and he was leading up to trying to negotiate his deal with Yeezy, is he wanted the knowledge transfer of the ecosystem, the entire ecosystem. You understand what I'm saying? And you can't do it apples to oranges, right? You can't compare an institution that's 80 years old to an individual who's on the outside on top of that, who's only 3 years old. You know what I mean? 10 years old. And just the fluidity of those kind of ecosystems that were created by white supremacists. In the 90s, a lot of those brands like Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren, Donna Karan, L.I. Bean, Nautica, it was, if they catered to the audience, the burgeoning hip hop audience at that time, it would have alienated their demo because they didn't make it for us. That was the beauty of what we did, because we're reinventors, we take things and, we'll put a salmon burger on a stove and start putting lemon pepper on it and some greens on, chop some onions on it. We reinvent everything. It's a part of our creative nature. But at that time, and there were a couple of endorsement deals, particularly with Grand Puba and Tommy Hilfiger, who really brought that level of style out of Harlem and Yonkers to the forefront. With I mean, obviously you already know about Polo and how that was being there, but it wasn't in their interest to embrace us as it is in the interest now. When I say interest, I'm talking financial interest. You follow what I'm saying? It wasn't in their financial interest to support us. So now the browning of America, we create culture. That is our Black goal. It's absolutely necessary that you find yourself partnered with these cultural titans. It's a part of your business strategy. It's a part of your brand strategy right now. But for when you peel back the layer, right, it doesn't change the ecosystem. with all due respect, it doesn't change the ecosystem, whether it's Rock Nation, whether it's Jerry Lorenzo with Fear of God, or Cole Wall, Samuel Ross, or Harron Preston, great, brilliant minds, great, brilliant designers. But unless you understand that what happens with the mobilization of money, the raising of investments, creating the ecosystem that allows the shares of your company and to be able to drive determination worldwide and globally make a footprint, that's on a whole nother level. Even Yeezy is doing it now, but he's doing it in partnership with Adidas. But now you can see the footprint of Yeezy grow, but it's not by himself. He had to become a partner with that ecosystem.
Just want.
Say again?
Oh no, please. Okay, you dropped something.
Had to plug my charger up. Sorry, it fell.
On a couple of things that you shared. The first one being in terms of this parasitic relationship, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this parasitic relationship that we find ourselves in. So in the case of, let's say a Ralph Lauren, right? As much as I can appreciate Ye wanting to expose the pipeline that designers would go through in order to really scale their design houses, there's one part that I think is important for us to understand, that there are gatekeepers that grant you access even into the different stages of the pipeline. I'm almost reminded of the Matrix in a way, where you had the key maker, right? And if the key maker would not make you a key, you cannot move from one dimension to the next, right? And so that's what we find ourselves in, especially in design, are gatekeepers. When I look at the story of even Ralph Lauren, right? He was 28 years old. He's working for a famous tie maker, Bremel, right? Once him the opportunity to have his own tie line, which was called Polo, under his house, right? So I'm thinking of a brother, Virgil Abloh, pardon me, may God be pleased. And he was given that same opportunity, right, within a fashion house to have his own, which was Off-White, if I'm not mistaken.
If I can interject, Virgil's his scenario was different. Virgil started Off-White and it blew up. Well, he started with Pyrex Vision and with Kanye, being able to have the access to the celebrities and Ye. Pyrex Vision was a really unique way for Virgil to express his design brilliance, because he was just taking refabrication. Like I said, you know how we resource things? He was just resourcing, you know, Champion hoodies and, you know, doing things because the quality was there, right? Remember, it takes us a hard time to get the mills, right? You got to be able to have contact with the mills, be able to source the fabric, to be able to get the fabric. You're talking, you know, so that's not an easy, lightweight thing to do so that you can make the material that you want, right? So then when Virgil went to Louis Vuitton, Off-White was actually the hottest fashion company out at the time. So it was gaining market share. And I do believe he had some Italian backers as their investors, but nonetheless, when he was on his own, so it was a prestigious position. At that point, Virgil didn't need it. He had already broken through.
And you're actually laying a strong foundation to my point. Whereas with a Ralph Lauren, he was relatively inexperienced, was given an opportunity within a design house to be able to showcase his line of ties. And then later on received an exclusive deal with Bloomingdale's that would carry his product line. Here you have a brother Virgil who already had a pre-existing line that already had market share, that was given this, what was supposed to be a prestigious place in a fashion house, but you didn't, unfortunately, you know, circumstances would be that he would make his transition. May God be pleased with him. However, when you look at what we have to bring to the table in order to secure a certain position and what others have to bring to the table, there's obviously a gatekeeper there. That's the point that I'm making. And when you look at Ralph Lauren coming out of a similar Jewish community that Calvin Klein came out of, or interior designer Robert Denning came out of, there's obviously some relationship that is pre-existing that we don't have access to, but that relationship helps to grease the wheels towards their road to success in a very short period of time compared to what we have to go through. And so I wanted you to kind of speak to that inequity, even in terms of ascension, when we do find ourselves on the road to success.
I mean, that's throughout every industry. You see how Black celebrities go through that. The bottom line, right, is we don't have economic equality. We don't have access. So the brotherhood and the sisterhood of, right, white America and what they do, they just, if I can, and I don't want to go too deep in this conversation, right, but it's night and day to what we experience. Does that make sense? We feel that if we go get a graduate degree or we get a Harvard degree or a law degree and you work hard, that you can make it. You feel like if you come from the bottom and you're Jay-Z and you can, you know, and you're Beyonce and, you know, you become a billionaire, you feel like you've broken through. You feel like you've done it. But you haven't done it because there's a huge component that's still missing. Again, these are ecosystems that are designed, built, created. The infrastructure is perpetuated by really a homogenous people, right? You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about Western rule, you're talking about white Anglo-Saxon, maybe they're Jew, maybe they're white, maybe they're Italian, but they're varying degrees of brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part,
yes,
you're talking about their ability to create self-determination in the products, services, and unique selling proposition that they offer to the public. We are not privy to that. We are not involved in that, and we don't have the education to do it for ourselves. We don't know how to be self-determined. We can get financial freedom, but we don't know. Like when I got into business for myself, I got into business for myself because I wanted to determine my own future. That's self-determination. I wanted to design the way it looks, the way my day looks like, what I serve, my life energy, and how I give it towards my purpose or my evolving, how I'm evolving and growing. I align it with that. And in order to do that, you have to move yourself away from them. You got to separate yourself from them ecosystems that are negatively affecting you and making you feel incompetent, impotent, and erratic. You know what I mean? So you're brilliant, down, up, down, up, down, up. It's not steady because you're looking at systems of white supremacy that are centralized. You know what? Centralized, it's like central bank. All right. And I'm going to give you this quick example through cryptocurrency, the blockchain. And I don't want to get started on cryptocurrency and the blockchain, but I'll make it real quick to hopefully your audience to get an understanding of what I'm talking about.
I think this would be good. We are up on a break within the next couple of minutes. So I think you give what you have to offer with respect to cryptocurrency and the blockchain, and then we'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll pick up the conversation. So please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So what I'm talking about is centralized ecosystems that controls everything that we come into touch points. You want to call them gatekeepers? That's another way of calling them. But what we miss in cryptocurrency, if I'm going to send you, Professor Lotus, $500, I communicate that to my bank, right? Whoever I bank with, they're going to look at my account and see how much money I have, and they will authorize. This is done in, 24 billion miles per second. This is a split second. They're going to authorize funds coming from my account to your account, but it doesn't go directly into your account as of yet. It has to locate the bank in which you bank with and then deposit those funds into your account. So if you look at that transactional relationship, you have Chase, Wells Fargo, then you have the individual. These two are part of a larger ecosystem that allows you to benefit from. You're down here. Let's look at the blockchain and why it's so scary to so many. The blockchain says, forget Chase, forget Wells Fargo. You have two transactions. You have an internet connection. I have an internet connection. I send you money directly. You get it from me. The coin is verified because the whole entire blockchain is transparent. The whole entire blockchain is transparent. Every account and every transaction is recorded and everyone can view it. So therefore, you have a decentralized technology that eliminates the middleman. See what I'm saying? So my skills, all right, I'm gonna let you go. I'm sorry, you had a question.
Your point. Having consulted businesses that were interested in getting into money transfer services and a whole nine, once again, they were met with those gatekeepers because they want to be able to have that level of control. And so I was blessed to live and work in an African country. I've traveled to several African countries, and I believe that the opportunity for us really lies in Africa. Our production team is there. Our materials are there. Our ability to transport them from the continent to America that is already in place. So I think our opportunities really lie in us giving great consideration to the options that we have and the relationships that we have on the continent of Africa, especially being Black from America, because they're looking for us, especially to make those types of connections and relationships. So I know we have to go to our break.
Yeah, I think the point that Professor Lotus just made, I think that's a good segue for us on the other side of the break to get into a conversation about the supply chain. And then, of course, we want to know what it is that WBC Studios is doing, what does it have going on, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back, family.
All right.
Here's a book that I know you're gonna feel. This is Mansour and the Mysterious Wheel. Facing plenty challenges, a journey to explore. Found a friend on the wheel, and it's so much more. Written by Mansour Muhammad at the age of 11. Been writing since 5, the second book out of 7. Teaching character building, like courage for children, like honesty and how we can practice social distance. Hey, Mansour and the Mysterious Wheel.
P.S. Naturally Yours 1614 Oil. Let all things be done with love. 1614 is a nourishing hair, skin, and nail oil cultivated to transform your self-care routine with our unique natural essential oils that features sweet vanilla, citrus with a hint of cinnamon. P.S. Naturally Yours 1614 Oil is now available at psnaturallyyours.com.
Okay, we're back, family. So, picking up the conversation where we left it off at, Brother Ibrahim, Sister Professor Lotus talked about the interest, I would say, in garment makers. And forgive me if I'm using all the right language. You know, I'm learning. You're teaching me.
Oh, he can't hear you.
Reverb.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me?
Operation.
Yes, sir.
Is that better?
Yes, sir.
Hold on. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I was saying was, with respect to these different industries on the continent of Africa who have an interest in wanting to, I guess, contribute to the things that we need. I'll just kind of summarize it like that. And we're talking about, you made the point about decentralizing these systems, and since we're speaking in the context of the fashion industry and things of that nature, what's your response to what Professor Lotus offered and advanced in terms of this relationship, the potential that it is there in the seeking of developing a relationship between us here in the U.S. and then back on the continent of Africa? And do you think that strengthening that relationship, shoring up those ties, could be a good piece to help decentralize what it is that we've been talking about? And then also, I would like for you to go into this global supply chain as well.
I mean, definitely a relationship with Africa, a relationship with southern states, anywhere where there's land and you know, capital. When we're talking about human labor, machinery, equipment, land, resources, you can build that. But the thing is, and Anthony and I, we experienced this when we were working with the farmers with Fort Green Vision. Agriculture, the barrier of entry is an extremely difficult barrier. Same thing with tech, oil, farming. The capital costs, the capitalization of these kind of institutions, even if you're doing ancillary operations, right, on a state level, just to be able to, to have the level of efficiency of Amazon, FedEx, UPS. You got to think about the mechanics of their operation and how much machinery and labor and land that they incorporate, and payroll and thousands of people with medical benefits and 401k. What are we missing? You see what I'm saying? What are we not doing to that comparative analysis, right? That we can get to that level. You can have access to Africa. We do. No one's stopping us right now. We have access to states. They got black governors, black mayors that will do and bargain with us and give us tax abatements and subsidize and capitalize so that we can grow our base and grow our community economic development. We can do it. The problem is the knowledge is not there. And we have the formula. I mean, the knowledge is there. We're not applying the applied knowledge. The applied mathematics is not there. So I don't think it's a level of wealth, resources, or business acumen. I think it's a slave mentality, and it's an inferiority complex that we still, the psycho-spiritual, cost of slavery is embedded in our DNA. We think that it's gone, but it will only go through completely through experiential work. You know what I mean? We have to take the knowledge that we've been given in the last 80, 90 years and apply it. This generation has to apply it. The minister said many times, our problem is not an economic one. It really isn't. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in Message to the Black Man, our failure is that we don't develop self-leadership when it comes to economics. So we're so quick to integrate, give up the struggle, and enjoy the comfort and the luxury of a country that's been around for 200-something years. So of course you can't compare apples to apples. So if I start my company and you guys come over or you hear me speaking, people be like, man, he ain't popping like that. You know what I'm saying? Because how come he ain't got a Bentley? How come he ain't got 10,000 people? He ain't. But I'm independent. I am the first generation in my whole bloodline since 400 and something years. You know what I'm saying? It's not apples to apples, but we don't want to sacrifice that initial, I'm a patriarch. I am a pioneer. I know my reward is not for today. My reward is generations ahead. But somebody got to lay down this blueprint. Somebody got to do this work to lay down the preparatory work of generational wealth for my bloodline So it's accessible as it's being produced. So I don't want to be like, oh, yo, he's top 30. I'm far from 30, but I'm just saying top 30 under 30, you know, or, you know, things like that. You know, you want to get into who's who and our celebrity culture, and we still suffer from that psycho-spiritual sickness. And we integrate, but we're not self-determined. We have money, we have wealth, we have connections, we have resources, but we're not being able to impact our community the way we, like Joe Kennedy, Rockefeller, DuPont, you know, like the real titans of industry. I mean, even our criminal element is not allowed to transition into community economic development. You see what I'm saying? Because the criminal element, the gang element is important in developing law. Because, listen, the penalty is death. You do it in the streets. We know the rules in the streets. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. And if you allow those titans from our community that grew up in our street organizations to transition, they could say, hey, look, I done went down in a 5-block radius, man. I saw 10 barbershops. Y'all hustling backwards. I'm going to do a Lucky Luciano. We're going to create a commission. I'm going to need you to come up under this. And if anybody else opens up another barbershop, they're going to have to deal with me. Another hair salon, you have to deal with me. Another nail salon. But we have this redundancy of the same effect over and over and over. And we're like scattered moths. So there's no law. There's no saying like you got 5 strong brothers. They say, listen, me, Anthony, whoever, a couple other brothers, man, listen, it's only going to be 5 podcasts coming out of Georgia. Maybe 1. You know, we just not having it. We ain't got time for it. There has to be some establishment of law. You see what I'm saying? See, white people, they do that. You come up, Facebook was like, oh, Instagram, what you trying to do? Huh? You know, buy them out. Get rid of them. Twitter, get rid of them. Who else? So they call it mergers and acquisitions. Put a nice name on it. You know what I'm saying? So, but business is warfare. They understand that. So when Virgil was coming up, they said, well, I'm just going to consume him. That's it. It's simple for Ronald Arnault to consume him. You know what I'm saying? And give him some fame and some sizzle, and you have access, and you're going to take that back to your people, and you're going to sell that token. You know what I mean? But what did he get? You know what I mean? He's not even a competitor no more. Let's think about that. Right? You went from a competitor to a worker. How does that make sense? You know, and I know people are saying, well, I'm all praises due to Allah for our dear brother and the gains that he made. I'm speaking objectively, analytically over the business decisions like that affect us as a people, you know, so that we can, you know, and I can prove this point 10 times over. If you look at LeBron, you look at Jay-Z, you look at Diddy, you look at Dr. Dre, you look at Oprah Winfrey, all of the titans of industry in our field, in our community, all of their net worth is greater than their companies. You ever notice that? Always. But if you look at the titans of their community, whether you take Ronald Arnault, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Michael Bloomberg, their net worth is always less than the value of their company. They make more money for other people than they do for themselves. See, if you own a company and it goes public, and let's say Jeff Bezos at $1 trillion was his value, and he has 25% of $1 trillion, which is a lot, but he only has 25% of that wealth. So where did the other wealth go? Shareholders. He got other people rich. That's like the mafia. They say, you know, we all made money. They sit around the big tables and, Michael, you did good for us. You have to be a good earner. But what we think, no, I'm going to get me rich, a couple of my little homies, my little crew. I'm out of Billy. All of it is not public, so you can't sell shares to your people, your community. You can't even bring jobs into the community that you came from. You can't help the tax tax coffers. You can't do anything. You're a sponsorship. You're an endorsement.
And you know, I definitely understand where you're coming from with that. I guess one thing I would say is sometimes we do it that way in terms of how we structure our businesses, because that's all we know. We only know a business model that allows us to earn a lot of money, make us wealthy, put on our friends, which we should, by the way. We should be putting on our friends. We should be putting on those who have helped us to get to where we are along the way. And one of the things that I was discussing with Brother Anthony D when we were talking about this conversation is when we look at Torchlight for America and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan presents to us employee profit sharing as a model, right? And the reason why I bring this up is because we're talking about a model where it allows us to make money for ourselves and our friends, but it doesn't penetrate the community in essence, right? In terms of being able to improve the condition of community members. When we look at profit sharing, employee profit sharing, there was a business that I researched in the beginnings of the pandemic. And because it's a bakery, I think it's called La Ambra out of California. And they actually use an employee profit sharing model as their business model. And they didn't have to close down as a result of the pestilence, right? Why? Because they had an interest in the company that allowed them to all receive dividends from what they were able to generate by way of revenue, right? Then there was a gentleman, I can't think of his name right now, who was basically laughed off of Fox News for doing something very similar. He took a pay cut, right? And he paid everybody the same amount of money. It was a little over $70,000 a year. And he was laughed off of Fox News, right? For even taking such a stance. But once again, employing that employee profit sharing model, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars in that same company. So is a part of the reason why we keep seeing the same practice over and over again is because we're not also being exposed to other business models that would benefit the community. And then when we are made aware of those other business models, we're being laughed out of business schools or laughed off of media and other social media.
At us, but they're not laughing with each other. I mean, Wall Street is cooperative economics. It's cooperative economics. When you want to take your company public, it's to raise funds, additional capital to grow and develop your company. So that is a mechanism in which, the stock exchange started in London with a group of people meeting, talking business. So you're absolutely right. Cooperative economics, whether it's a co-op, whether it's there's models out there that allows us, again, the self-leadership in economics is what's missing. The psycho-spiritual damage of an inferiority complex is what's missing. And the unwillingness to sacrifice and start from your own true beginning is what's missing. You see what I'm saying? Because if you got to start from the black man is in his genesis. The black family is in our we're in our genesis, family. So you can't, the standard of how you measure our wealth is going to be skewed. It's going to be off. That's what so-called affirmative action is, right? Give them time to catch up. Like, listen, you know what I mean? We like 40 and I need to be, I got to have 100 million. You know, I'm coming out here, I'm gonna be a millionaire, but you got to grow the infrastructure of so that money can be realized, that cooperative action, pulling money together. And look, I tell people, oh man, invest in the stock market, invest in the stock market. The stock market is not designed to get wealthy. It's meant to hedge against inflation. It's meant to park your money so that it's sitting in a bank earning a certain amount of interest. But if you put it in the stock market, it can actively work better for you. And if you look at, that's why most people say, well, the people that you hear of the millionaires that are coming out of the startups and going public are all the people that were there during the private placement before it went public. During the private placement, you can take an equity stake and you can invest in that company. And that's where the true millionaires and multimillionaires are made 10 times, 20 times over. That's where the real wealth generation starts. But it's going to take place. You know, you have to be an accredited investor, right? You got to be verified. You have to have a certain amount of income, liquidity, and assets. I think it's in excess of 5 million in resources, and I think 1 million in liquidity, in order to be an accredited investor. So when you look at Nas and Queensbridge Venture and Jay-Z, and you look at some of these celebrities saying, yeah, Beyonce, I made an investment in those things. They are accredited because they have wealth. They got, you know, like Drake said, don't show me I think he said a business plan. Show me proof of funds. You know what I mean? Show me personal funds so that you can, this closed door behind when the door is closed and there's a few people in that room, and you buy a stake and you say, give me 10 shares. I like your idea. I want to be involved in it. And we're going to go public. This is going to be big. That's where true wealth is generated. We have to duplicate those models so that the fashion, the clothing, the brands, the competitiveness, you can compete. We suffer sometimes because of the failure to compete. We just don't have the resources. We don't, how can you know, and I tell clients all the time, there's two rules in business that you got to understand really quick, early. And the quicker you learn it, the better you are able to move and adapt. But the first one is you will run out of money. You're going to run out of personal money. I don't care how, you're going to run out. Even Elon Musk ran out of money. You know, you're going to run out of money. And the second is learn how to use other people's money. So to your question is, you know, we have to be able, you're absolutely right with identifying those systems that work. But now you need the, you know, the business acumen and the intelligence of a group of individuals. We're not even, we don't buy shares like that. We're just getting into that. We don't sell notes to each other. We don't even understand the language. Securities and prospectus and valuation. We don't even, we like, is it lit? That's all I want to know, bro. I'm buying that Apple stock or AMC. Oh, Dogecoin is lit. I'm buying it. That's how we gauge if it's on our feed in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get a little bit more granular and take the sacrifice and the discipline to be that kind of matriarchal people, pioneer people, and lay down those bases so that the infrastructure is there so that the next generation can have wealth.
Next question, next logical question, based upon what you just shared, is outside of or in addition to BBI Talks, where else can we learn this? I mean, we have access to, and you know, I went through business school, right? I have an MBA, and I can tell you right now, what we learn in the program is nowhere near what I actually needed to know to start the business and to and actually duplicate, right? It's something that in terms of I've been taught how to maintain pre-existing processes. I had to learn on my own how to develop my own process, right? Mm-hmm. It's not taught in your typical business school. It may be taught in schools like maybe a Harvard. That's why you pay all that money, is because you are taught these, right, what you're referring to, these granular type approaches to business. But how can the average everyday Black man or Black woman entrepreneur or Latinx entrepreneur learn these essential things on management? Like I know even Anthony and I recently learned the power of using insurance tools to build wealth and to build generational wealth. You know, these are things that we may have benefited from our families, but we didn't necessarily learn the tools necessary to build that kind of wealth. If we're looking at the model that's presented before us, whether it be a Jay-Z or Beyonce, you would think that the ticket, or Nas, you would think that the ticket is, well, I'm going to sing, and singing, that record deal is going to allow me to generate the necessary wealth. See, that's the pattern. But what happens if you don't sing? What happens if your stuff don't hit?
If you're not LeBron, right? You don't make it to the league.
Then you should not be forever relegated to poverty. So we have to think of we have to learn other systems. So my initial question is, where can we learn this? And then 2, how can we start to learn other models to acquiring that wealth that the Jay-Z's and the Beyoncé's and the Nas are able to generate to make those type of sound investments that quadruple their wealth?
Right. Well, I would tell you one thing. You all are doing a fantastic job. We can learn it here. And I think we had this conversation, I think when we talked briefly on the phone Friday. What y'all doing is enough. It starts out rudimentary and fun, you know, it's basic, but it has to start that way. It's the level of consistency, because let me tell you something, the value of this, as long as you stick with it, it's decentralized. It's not controlled. That's self-determination. You know what I mean? You can put on who you want to put on. You can talk about what you want to talk about, and you're not beholden to anyone. That is the start. You're going to suffer for that. There's going to be a lack of financial windfall because of that, but we're going to have to learn how to start humming and connecting with each other and building strong networks. The power is in our social currency. We can do it, but we have to begin to, you know, we have a platform called Deaf to a Slave, not to plug it in here, you know what I'm saying, but we're plugging it. But the whole thing that I'm talking about and is creating a platform that's decentralized outside of the control of those who are culture vultures in our community. I see them, I smell them, I see them coming a mile away. You know what I mean? So it's, and I'm not angry. You know, I'm not disgusted with them, because it's like, I'm the fool if I go to integrate. You know, I have to pull myself out and examine myself where I'm at legitimately. So that's the first thing. Knowing that the power that you have, that you're doing right now, you're applying it, and it's real, it's decentralized, and you're going to have to get to those 2 business rules that we just talked about. You're going to have to see, how can I offer while I'm ascending, or while my strategy is being laid down to ascend, how can I create value for my audience? Not just informational value, right? Financial value. How am I going to get a return on the money? Not talking about your audience. Not from like, hey, text me 555 and learn about all Professor Lotus's training, and she will show you from one course A to B course Z, and you'll be ready to roll, and you'll make $1 million a day. Bro, and I'm not knocking anybody that does that, but let me just say this for your audience, right? When you see those kind of ads, know that you are the mark. You're the hustle. You're the business model. You want to, if I'm saying I'm an expert in this and I'm doing all of these things, and I got to sell you this package and you have to buy it in order to get the information, that's the model. The model ain't the information. They're not saying get this information and make money. No, they're saying get it from me, pay me, and then I'm going to give you this information, then you make money. So be wary of that, right? Look at organizations that you could partner with that has real product. They're really working to build real product. There's some value there. They're good at what they do. They stain the leather. Whatever it is, whatever they're selling, they go get the coffee from Ethiopia. They bring it back. They package it. They like, listen, we love what we do. We believe in environmentally safe beans, and they're just into the process. And if it's a service, they're into the service of it. You know, once we connect with those kind of people, those people are sharp, right? They can understand the value that you create for them. You know, and Sister just said it, right? Everyone's an expert these days, and she's right. It's sickening. Everyone's an expert, and then they want to sell you something on the heels of that. You know what I mean? And then you can come be a part of my exclusive club and become an expert like me. And I'm not knocking it. I get it. Everybody has to survive, and influence and power, influence, people peddle that, but in order for the stuff that we're talking about, you got to create investors, a group of investors, so that I got a business, you got a business, but guess what? If I go up, you benefit because you're vested in me, I'm vested in you. So what are the terms in the agreement? What is the prospectus? What are you talking about? And that's the part where we don't divulge that, because people will solicit funds over the internet, over social media, and it's illegal. It's a scam. It's a fraud, right? Because there's supposed to be a securities note attached to it. Is that securities registered during the state in which you solicited the funds? What's going to happen with the money? Let's see the 3-year return. How much capitalization do you need? Okay, we want you to invest in this because we're going to go buy this water bottle. But okay, well, at what number are you going to buy the water bottle, Macton Factory? You know what I'm saying? Can we know that? Can we look at a prospectus? Can I look at your financial projections? But people will cash at people and do those things. And I'm not saying that it's not wrong. I'm just saying we have to avoid injuring each other. Because if we create mistrust and we hurt each other and things don't happen the way it's supposed to happen, then we have this fraction in mistrust. And people are like, man, I ain't messing with you. I'd rather stay at the white man's job.
Sorry about that. This has been a wonderful class that you have given to us and to our audience today. We have to get you to come back because you're just a wealth of information, brother. And I think our audience will benefit greatly from what it is that you have to offer. You mentioned Death to a Slave podcast. Please tell us about what WBC Studios does and what projects you have going on, so that our family can become familiar with you, check you out. And we hope, like we see our sister, Janessa Martin, who has her beautiful RobinPatrice.com, the website, the brand, the company. She is what she called herself an unapologetic maker. And sister is brilliant. She was a feature on our show a couple of episodes ago. She's very creative and she's tapping into that and monetizing that. And I'm very proud of the gains that she's making. But please tell us about WBC Studios and what it is that you have to offer.
Absolutely. So WBC Studios is a creative consulting company. You kind of get what I was talking about. So we help clients build out their brand strategies, capital raising, monetizing their platform, and building the whole visual identity plus the business strategy to incorporate that. So that's what we do for emerging brands, established brands. We really kind of help you take a deep dive, pull all the intangible things out and make them tangible. Create a platform for you where your story, your message, your design, your visual aesthetics is all in line with your personality. And then we say, go, man, go get it. And, we love what we do. I love working with entities. I love working with businesses and helping them realize their potential, their latent potential, and getting this thing right. We have a lot of interesting projects that we're working on. One is a visual podcast that we do, and is an audio podcast as well. We just launched it 3 months ago, I think. Yeah. So it's called Death to a Slave. It's available on YouTube. You can catch that out. And the whole Death to a Slave is what we're talking about. The WBC executive produces it. So it's more of a millennial kind of podcast for a younger demographic. But it's to really give our young people a really understanding of the slave mentality that we think is dead. We really think that I've gotten behind this inferiority complex and I'm good. I'm woke. You know what I mean? So because I'm active and I'm productive every day. But I don't believe that's the case. So that's one thing that we're doing. Second, we also have a clothing line. It's called Wolves by Circumstance.
Absolutely.
And you can check that out as well. And we also have a couple of exciting projects that we're doing now, particularly with our clothing company. And we have we created a designer toy collection. I know this sounds weird, but we have a designer toy collection that is it's called the League of Extraordinary Space Travelers.
Okay.
And it's a whole thematic concept, and it will actually be our launch of our first NFT. So we're super excited about that. We love crypto over here. We love it. We love it. We love it. I am all in on cryptocurrency. I'm all in on NFTs because the main thing that I'm going to say for your audience is the decentralization is important, and it's going to take over the world, and it's going down to the little man. So we are removing the middleman, and that's what this technology is doing. And some of these coins, particularly Ethereum. So that's the three major projects that we got going on, and it's been a joy dealing, talking with you guys and chopping up shop. I hope I didn't go too far or be too all over the place.
No, the feedback that we've gotten from our audience is that you definitely dropped jewels. We know we felt that, and it's good to see that members of our audience felt that as well. So thank you again for your time. We got to get you back on, so and I'm glad that I kind of nudged you out from behind that sycamore tree, brother. Come on from around that sycamore tree, brother.
You damn sure did, bro. People don't see my face and hear me talking. They really don't.
Oh, man, you're brilliant. So thank you, man. Please give our greetings to your beautiful wife and your children and all the rest of the members of the WBC staff, man. May God bless you to keep growing and keep having impact in helping us to get out of this slave dynamic, my brother. So peace to you, my brother.
I appreciate it. Y'all have a blessed day. God bless.
Do the same. Peace.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I was as I stated, these are the kind of conversations that Brother Ibrahim and I have had for 10 years.
Wow.
And I always walk away feeling like, man, I really learned something. It's definitely one of those kind of, people say out in social media, it's kind of phrases like if somebody isn't adding to you, you're taking away from, or better yet, if you're the smartest one in your circle, then you need to find
another circle. That's right.
And so I do more listening and try to add some comedic relief to the conversation when engaged with brother Ibrahim. So again, thank you very much for his being on the show. So with that, we have
well, first, before we go into our update, I know you got to prepare music and all that good stuff. I just want to take the time to thank those of you who have joined us on Instagram Live. Thank you so much for coming on today. Brother Vaughn is joining us today. They call him Mr. Crawford, joining us this evening as well. I can't see the rest because I don't have my glasses, but thank you so much for joining BBI Talks. And thank you for bearing with us. In spite of some technical glitches here and there, we are steadily working on it. I mean, my husband's been working with
Reach the Ruler, who is the producer for the Maze Jackson Show and other programs on the What's in It for the Black People media platform based in Chicago.
Lost sound.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Again, peace to Brother Reese the Ruler, who is the producer for the Maze Jackson Show and other programs on the What's in It for the Black People media platform based in Chicago. He's given me 2 days of consultation, and we still got some kinks to work out, but he has put me in a good direction. So peace to him, and I appreciate his contribution. That being said, we got an update to make with respect to, if you didn't know, we forgot to announce it. We are broadcasting live from the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs, or RICE for short. We are actually inside the Legacy Podcast Studio.
Yes.
And if you don't know who Mr. Herman Russell is, Google him, and you will not be disappointed. One of our greats, and like Brother Ibrahim was talking about, these titans in industry. And I believe firmly that Brother Herman Russell was and continues to be a titan with the legacy that he had left behind for us. So,
and this, we can't forget to announce,
absolutely,
this Saturday is the first annual Buy Black Holiday Pop-Up Shop right here at RICE. It is located at 5
Here's a book that I know you're gonna feel. This is Mansoor and the Mysterious Wheel. Facing plenty challenges, a journey to explore. Found a friend on the wheel, and it's so much more. Written by Mansoor Muhammad at the age of 11. Been writing since 5, the second book out of 7. Teaching character building, like courage for children, like honesty and how we can practice social distance. Hey, Mansoor and the Mysterious Wheel.
Magnolia Crescent Orchards presents 100% non-alcoholic wines and sparkling teas. We offer halal certified, organic, vegan-friendly, 100% non-alcoholic wines. Shop today at our website, magnoliacrescent.farm. Try our non-alcoholic Chardonnays, Rosé, and more. magnoliacrescent.farm.
P.S. Naturally Yours 1614 Oil. Let all things be done with love. 1614 is a nourishing hair, skin, and nail oil cultivated to transform your self-care routine with our unique natural essential oils that features sweet vanilla, citrus with a hint of cinnamon. P.S. Naturally Yours 1614 Oil is now available at psnaturallyyours.com.
And you know, when I look at where we're moving, the direction that we're moving into as we are approaching 2022, I see this platform, you know, really offering something that other platforms don't really offer the way that it's presented here. And that's because we are really kind of drilling down into what Black entrepreneurs really, really need. We're not having these conversations that are like these superfluous conversations about, oh, you just need to scale. No, we're getting into what does that process look like? And no matter where you are in your development, how can we get you from A to B and B to C? Like that's the kind of, you know, kind of instructional conversation we really need to have. And so I'm glad that, you know, our guest gets it. I'm glad that you get it, which is why you're watching today. And I pray that we will see you next week. Next week, our topic, we're actually having a different kind of pop-up, right? So the first time we had a Black business pop-up showcase, which we actually started about a year ago. We had another one about a month ago. Well, actually, no, 2 weeks ago. Pardon me. My months are running together. Well, this time around, y'all, we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be highlighting, right? The Black nonprofit pop-up is taking place next week, Friday. You don't want to miss this, y'all.
That's
I mean,
right. That's right.
this is an opportunity, especially before the new year, for you to go ahead and donate to a nonprofit that is for us, by us. There's we really need to support these nonprofits, and so we will have the opportunity to see those nonprofits, hear the work that they're doing, and then hear from them how we as a community can support our own nonprofits. So these are nonprofits that are founded by us to serve our needs. And so without further ado, I guess we're going to say peace today. That's it, y'all. So thank you for joining BBI Talks. I'm Professor Karima Lotus. Peace. It's not playing.
All right, well, family, the outro. Hold on.
Sorry about that, y'all. The internet here has gone down.
All right. Well, look, we're not going to keep you. Peace and blessings. Again, have a wonderful weekend. And God willing, we'll see you back here next Friday.
Yes. Peace. Thank you, Instagram.
Peace.